Hi, chat. So we have two exonerations to look at today. We are going to be looking at the story of Brian Boles and Charles Collins. They were exonerated after spending 30 and 23 years, respectively, in prison. What I like about this story that we're going to look at, this is coming out of Manhattan. If you knew me back when I started this channel, I didn't always have the greatest things to say about Alvin Bragg, looking at other cases that were currently being prosecuted. But Manhattan does have a conviction integrity unit, and we've covered some cases already where their unit and they review cases, they look back, they look to see if there's wrongful convictions on the table. And here, and in another case that we covered on this channel, the prosecutors got together with advocates like the Innocence Project, and they agreed to dismiss the indictments where they found issues of wrongful incarceration. So today, this is going to be one of those stories. Really, the focal point here, this is an Innocence Project case. DNA testing ends up pointing to a different individual rather than the two that were serving time. Brian Boles took it to trial. So he took it to trial. He was found guilty. Collins was awaiting trial, but after seeing that result, that guilty verdict, he ends up taking a plea, right? So one of these is a actual jury conviction, one is a plea. We're going to hear about false confessions being an issue. They were young adults and teenagers when this happened. And we're going to hear about evidence withheld that would have shown that their confessions didn't make sense. Pinned in the chat, speaking of wrongful convictions, I have pinned a document fundraiser from our good friend of the channel and amazing attorney, James ROBICHAUD, who is doing post-conviction work pro bono. If you take a look at that Give, Send, Go, we'll read his story in the middle of the stream. But if you want to donate to help him procure documents are extremely expensive. It's one of the biggest hurdles to fighting an appeal or looking for post-conviction relief. His Give, Send, Go, I almost said GoFundMe, is pinned in the chat and also in the description. And of course, you guys, shout out to the Innocence Project because you guys know their name. They're a much bigger organization. But if you're looking for a nonprofit to support, Innocence Project is one of the good ones. And there's a bunch of different types of Innocence projects. This is Innocence, like innocence.com. So without further ado, let's look at the Innocent Project's write-up. We'll make this bigger. We've got Tack Clouds in the building. We've got my BFF Biff. Good to see you guys. So what do we got going on? So they're really highlighting, this is Boles. This is Brian Boles. We don't have a picture. There's a picture in the thumbnail of Collins, and we're also going to look at a video of the hearing where they end up getting exonerated. But right now, we've got Brian Boles. A Manhattan judge today vacated, this was yesterday, 2 days ago, the convictions of Brian Boles and Charles Collins for a 1994 murder. Like, I was a toddler at this point in time. Like, Super Nintendo was the thing. 1994. After DNA testing on fingernail evidence from the victim excluded the men as a source and pointed to another individual as the perpetrator. The Honorable Ruth Pickles, that's a cool name, dismissed the indictments against Mr. Boles and Mr. Collins after a joint request from prosecutors and attorneys from the Innocence Project, who represent Mr. Boles, and attorneys from Ropes and Gray, who represent Mr. Collins. So again, I always got to give credit where it's due. You know, my channel sometimes is a prosecutor critic channel, but I like to see this joint call from both sides of the aisle saying, look, this wasn't right. Let's do justice. Brian Boles, this is a quote here. Brian Boles was only a teenager when this nightmare began, said Jane Pusher. That's the senior staff attorney at the Innocence Project. We are grateful that the district attorney's office and the court have finally acknowledged what Mr. Boles has always maintained, that he was wrongfully convicted. He lost 3 decades of his life for a crime he had nothing to do with. Mr. Boles was just 17 when 2 days after extensive questioning by police who threatened and lied to him, he falsely confessed to the murder. He had no attorney, no parent, no guardian present. This, quote, confession, they put it in quotes, was the only evidence against Mr. Boles, who after being found guilty at trial, went on to serve 30 years in prison before being released on parole in 2024. So he's he was out because his sentence, he was released on parole. He wasn't released because of this exoneration. This is a post-release exoneration. Mr. Collins, fearful of also losing at trial, took a plea and served 23 years in prison before being released on parole in 2017. So, what's so interesting about this to me is, there's a lot of conversations, and I get why it's an instinct, right? Why would you want to plead guilty to something you didn't do? I don't like when people have the wrong impression of me. I don't like people to get things twisted, right? So it is hard for me, even though I cover all these cases, to imagine, yep, you know what, I'm guilty, I did that. But when you really think about the difference here, if you were in these men's shoes, and because it's the two of them and the one took it to trial, this is just such a great thing to visualize. You've got this man who's convicted and he gets sentenced to, it seems, 30 years. It might have been more if his parole was an early release. I don't know the math, but it seems like could have been more than 30 years. And then you're sitting here watching that go down, and you've got someone offering you, all right, just plead guilty and you'll only do 23. You saw this guy convicted of the exact same thing with probably the exact same evidence against you. This is the type of thing that puts people in the position that even if they're innocent, it's compelling. There's compelling reasons to plead guilty to something you didn't do, and that's really unfortunate. So, new DNA testing using technology not available at the time of the initial investigation was conducted as part of a joint post conviction reinvestigation by the Innocence Project and the New York County District Attorney's Office Post Conviction Justice Unit. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. DNA evidence found under the victim's fingernails, which likely belonged to the actual perpetrator, did not match Mr. Boles and Mr. Collins. The investigation also uncovered police reports and witness interviews. And this is critical, right? Because there are people, and there's a big group online, or maybe I think there is, because they'll find my posts about this stuff, so I see it more. There are people that advocate against the Innocence Project. They think they're a fraudulent company, and they think that just because DNA doesn't match doesn't mean that somebody's not guilty. And sure, that's possible. Maybe the DNA under someone's fingernails wasn't from them trying to fight defensively, and that's how skin got under there. Sure. But when we pair it with other stuff, when we have things like what we're going to read right here, we have police reports and witness interviews, none of which were disclosed to the defense, showing that the murder victim was seen alive hours after the time Mr. Boles said the crime occurred in his, quote, confession. So now, for those that would say, the DNA not belonging to those two, we don't know who it actually belongs to. Well, that's not enough for me to feel like they might be innocent. Or not enough for me to believe their conviction should be overturned, even though maybe that's a good signal that they might be innocent. But then you pair this in there. You have the evidence and these confessions, and now their confession contains details that are contradicted by things the investigators and the prosecution at the time didn't disclose to the defense that would have contradicted their confession. So that makes it seem pretty cut and dry to me. These accounts made the timeline in Mr. Boles' statements about how and when the murder occurred impossible. Further, the investigation covered a forensic report previously undisclosed to defense, showing that a detective's testimony at Mr. Boles' trial purporting to link Mr. Collins to a shoe print left at the crime scene was untrue. And I think like 75% of the wrongful conviction cases that we've looked at on this channel have involved some type of shoe print evidence. I don't remember the name of the individual that who was convicted. But there was like this whole scheme-roddery going on. That's not a word, but it fits. They cut a kitchen tile out of the floor to preserve a shoe print and tied it to somebody. But the detective, the investigating officer that was following the case, didn't disclose that after the victim was dead, and police had already responded to the murder scene. A few days later, somebody breaks into the house, and that same officer is the one that responded to the call about the break-in, so, they should be aware. And then afterwards, they have shoe prints in the kitchen, and they cut that tile out, but they don't disclose that to the defense or testify to it at trial. Like, they just cut something out and said, yeah, we know that there was somebody else in this house before we secured this piece of evidence, and we're just not going to disclose that. So this is just such a common thing. Like, oh, this shoe print looks like it could belong to this person. So that's an issue here. While the detective claimed at trial that Mr. Collins' shoe print, quote, matched a print left at the crime scene, the forensic report stated that the print was too partial and no comparison could be made. So, cool. They never disclosed that to the defense. So they said at trial, yeah, his shoe print matched the print left at the crime scene. But then this post-conviction unit comes in and they look at the forensic report, the actual report, and the report cannot conclude that. They said no comparison could be made. Not even like it's likely, but we can't conclude for sure. They say no comparison could be made. But you've got a detective on the stand saying the shoe print matched. That's crazy. So, shout out, good morning to Amanda Robinson. We've got Factual Lie in the building. Always good to see you. And we've got Peter Max says, and you have no reason to trust the justice system. And we're going to get, so I pulled up some articles about this exoneration. We're going to get to an interesting quote. I tried to give Alvin Bragg a little bit of applause at the beginning of this, but he's got a quote that kind of pisses me off that we're going to read too. So his quote is going to get to this part here. And Trakisha, good to see you. Good to see you. If there's an injustice going on, Trakisha is in the chat. A factually impossible coerced confession. So let's get to the confessions. Oh, that made it. There we go. On February 7th, 1994, an elderly man was found beaten, gagged, and strangled with a telephone cord in his Harlem apartment in the same building where Mr. Boles was then living with his father. Police only eyed Mr. Boles as a suspect after he and Mr. Collins were arrested for an unrelated robbery. Now, we've also talked a lot about bad character evidence, prior bad acts. 404B, the federal rule of evidence that's, you can't just run into a trial as a prosecutor and bring up every bad thing about a person ever. Even if they've committed prior crimes, if you want to be able to introduce them at trial, a judge should be looking at it to be, particularly relevant. There's criteria that needs to be met. And just because somebody commits a robbery at some point in their life doesn't mean that they're going to go kill somebody. But that's not how they look at this here. While there was no evidence linking Mr. Boles to the murder, detectives decided the two cases were connected. After 2 days of intense questioning during which he was handcuffed to a chair and sleep deprived, Mr. Boles was repeatedly lied to, threatened, and physically and verbally abused until, scared and wanting to go home, he told police that he and Mr. Collins had committed the murder. Over several more hours, police fed Mr. Boles more details about the crime. So he hadn't confessed until it's been like 2 days, and he's chained to this thing, hungry, whatever. And now they're giving him details. So then he gets to repeat these back to police. And now he has his confession. It seems like we couldn't have one without the other. And if we couldn't have a confession without the police feeding someone details, the person you're speaking with probably isn't the primary person that did the thing. Otherwise, they would have the firsthand knowledge. So Mr. Collins was subjected to similarly coercive interrogation tactics and falsely admitted guilt to the murder. But that statement was directly undermined by reports in the prosecutor's possession that were not disclosed to defense at trial, in violation of Mr. Boles' constitutional rights. Those reports showed that the murder victim was alive for many hours after the narrow window of 12 to 1 p.m., when Mr. Boles' statement said the crime occurred. In fact, they showed multiple neighbors interacting with and seeing the victim alive into the early evening. They also documented that neighbors heard loud sounds and furniture being dragged in the victim's apartment around 10:30 p.m. So that's hours later, suggesting that he was killed late at night. Had these reports been disclosed to the defense, they would have allowed counsel to show that the story captured in Mr. Boles' statement was factually impossible, and thus his confession was false. So we get a detective on the stand to testify that there's a matching shoe print to Mr. Collins. But we don't get any of these witnesses on the stand to talk about any of the things that they heard. Do you think they would have gotten these witnesses on the stand if the testimony was that it occurred at 10:30 p.m.? The confession was that it occurred at 10:30 p.m.? Do you think these individuals would have been called to say, "Yeah, it was around 10:30. Yeah, he was alive earlier in the day"? This seems very pick and choosy. So what do we have now? We've got lies and deception drive false confessions. So this is going to be a little bit more broader scope. Modern social science research shows that the circumstances under which Mr. Boles was questioned created fertile ground for a false confession. Coercive interrogation tactics combined with Mr. Boles' youth and history of trauma made him uniquely vulnerable to giving a false confession. The tactics detectives used are now known to produce false confessions at a high rate. They lied to Mr. Boles repeatedly, first telling him that a neighbor had seen him outside the victim's apartment. And I get that this sounds critical, but police can lie. Police can lie. So this is something that probably is not going to change. And probably pretty easy to imagine the impact of, you're sitting in a room and someone tells you, well, someone said you did it. Whether that's true or not, you have an officer telling you that. So I always get an attorney. He was 17, he didn't have a parent there, he didn't have a guardian there, he didn't have an attorney, and he was there for 2 days. But police can lie. Know that they can lie. But yeah, they tell him that a neighbor had seen him outside the victim's apartment, which was false. And then telling him that Mr. Collins had implicated him in the murder, which was also a lie. Mr. Collins, in fact, had told police that he and Mr. Boles had nothing to do with the murder. Law enforcement's use of force, coercive tactics, isolation, and deception, as in this case, are proven to increase a person's stress and mental exhaustion, making them susceptible to falsely confess. Studies show that this effect is particularly pronounced in children, juveniles, and people with intellectual disabilities. Nearly a third of all wrongful convictions are the result of false confessions, and a third of those false confessions were made by individuals 18 or under at the time of arrest. Whew. Oh, sweet. Hold on, let's pull that up and drop that in the chat. Guys, Fit Lawyer ATL and Millionaire Mel also just did a really, really awesome interview. Let me get these links. Oh, video, not alive. Wait, I don't see it. Oh, on Facebook. Okay, well, let me drop her YouTube. We gotta get her to sync her content to YouTube. I don't want to go on Facebook. I go on Facebook and I get sucked into a bunch of stuff for work. Let's see. So this is Fit's YouTube. If it just got uploaded on Facebook, maybe it'll pop over to YouTube as well in a little bit. And then let me get that interview she did with Millionaire Mel. They talked about Moon Chung's case too, but they talked about a bunch of other awesome topics. So Millionaire Mel, who's going to be covering YNW Melly. I think she'll be on day 3, I think, of the rewatch on Monday. Oh, wow. Day 3. She just has them scheduled ahead of time. So make sure you subscribe to Millionaire Mel. You'll love it over there. A million familiar faces. Interview with Fit. There we go. So thank you, Trakisha. And I don't know why, every time I open StreamYard, it looks different. but okay. We'll fix that later. Um, so where were we? Let's see, Mr. Bowles' false confession is far from an anomaly. So we're going to get some other examples here. Police deception has contributed to countless wrongful convictions, such as those in the Central Park Five, now known as the Exonerated Five, when police railroaded 5 Black and Latino teens by lying and making false promises to secure false confessions for the brutal rape and assault of a white jogger in 1989. All 5 were later exonerated in 2002. That was a long time ago, too. Law enforcement used similar methods when interrogating Hugh Burton, who was 16 when he falsely confessed to killing his mother. Police separated Mr. Burton from his father, threatened him with additional criminal charges, and offered leniency if he confessed to the crime. Yeah, and this leniency ends up being extremely powerful. Because if you have someone telling you you're going to go away for life, we have a million people saying you did it, there's nothing you can do. It might seem in that moment like your only option is less time or life. Even though he soon recanted, he was convicted of a second-degree murder in 1991. He was exonerated in 2019. So example after example, Marty Tankleff, what did he do? He was 17, falsely confessed in 1988 to stabbing his parents in their Long Island home. The lead detective lied to Mr. Tankleff, saying that his father named him as the attacker before he died, prompting him to confess and then immediately recant. He was incarcerated for 19 years before being exonerated. That's crazy. That's so cruel. So, you're innocent. You're being accused of murdering your parents. You've lost your parents. You're grieving your parents. And then someone tells you your dying father's last words were, "It was my son that did it. It was you, child." That's horrible. Since 2021, 11 states have passed bills into law to ban the use of deception during the interrogation of youth, including California, Colorado, Connecticut. This is a good number of states, but we could use some more. Delaware, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, and Virginia. In New York, a bill has been introduced in the state legislature that would mandate the provision of counsel for people under the age of 18 before they are questioned, ensuring that consultation with an attorney would not be waived by them or their family, could not be waived, and establishing that statements obtained in violation of those requirements could not be used against them at trial. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe there was like an ongoing back and forth. Prosecutors were like crying and whining for a few months in opposition to a bill. I think, let me look it up. I'm pretty sure it passed. Uh, it's a bill that's supposed to make prosecutors not turning over discovery appropriately easier to sanction. And prosecutors are like crying. They're like, "Oh, we're not going to be able to represent the victims if we have to turn over discovery that we're supposed to turn over." But it's like, do your job. Do the job you're supposed to do. Because it's not really justice for a victim if you're going to withhold something that would point out that you have the wrong person on trial. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that passed. But it was fun to watch them. The prosecutors in New York were crying for like months over this. Um, Actually, I think it was called the Khalif Browder Bill. No, that was an older law. Discovery Bill, New York City. And thank you, Factual. I just dropped the link to the Fit Lawyer on Facebook. Okay, so let's do a quick look at this. This is before it was passed, but just for the context on exactly what it was. Yeah, so a city councilman wants to close a discovery law loophole that's sparking unnecessary criminal case dismissals, with the tweak Albany lawmakers left on the cutting room floor during budget season. Councilman Keith Powers is pushing legislation that would create a centralized database of NYPD evidence Accessible. I think this is actually different. This is something different, but this is also in May of 2025. So they want a centralized database of NYPD evidence accessible by prosecutors and defense attorneys. So all of these, where are your reports? Which could help officials comply with burdensome evidence sharing requirements under the state's 2019 criminal justice reform. Let's see. Let's see. All right, so I'm not doing a good job of finding good articles. I really just wanted quotes. Quick quotes from the opposition crying that they didn't want discovery to be more streamlined. That was in the 90s. The Central Park 5 was in the 90s, right? Let me Wikipedia it real quick. 1989. 1989. And again, the story that we're reading about here, this is 1994. So this was like 5 years after that. That's how many like decades lost. So let's see. The beginning of a new chapter. And hey, Nicola. In its decision today, the court vacated Mr. Boles and Mr. Collins' convictions and dismissed the underlying indictment. That dismissal recognized the exonerating power of the new DNA evidence and the impact that it reports, which raised doubts about the confessions. So if they had the reports at trial, if they were given to the defense, you know, there would have been doubt about these confessions, and maybe we wouldn't even have to be here today. The dismissal also included charges related to the robbery incident, which was tried jointly with the murder case, and which the prosecution argued at trial was inextricably linked, noting that both men took responsibility for their actions in that robbery, that both men served the entirety of their sentences for those acts, and that there were mitigating circumstances related to the robbery that the jury could not properly consider because the charges were joined. The prosecution argued, and the court agreed, that all charges should be dismissed in the interest of justice. And I assume what they mean here is like, could a jury hear potentially somebody stole something, maybe because they were trying to eat, right? That's not really going to make a difference when you killed somebody in the process. So to the jury, there's no chance to mitigate when you've got them married together like this. While incarcerated, and I thought this was cool. I didn't know about this program, but Mr. Boles participated in the Bard College Prison Initiative, graduating in May 2025, so that was 2 months ago, with his bachelor's degree in sociology. He's eager to build a career serving marginalized communities, now without the heavy burden of a wrongful conviction. And I don't know exactly the status of the relief for those that have been exonerated, but in many cases, if you think you're wrongfully convicted, you can't really get any financial recourse, even in the states that have programs, unless you're actually given something that clears your record. So I know New York has programs. I don't know what the limits or minimums or per year amounts are, but it'd be nice if we see a story and update where they get some compensation for their wrongful incarceration. Because again, we're talking about 30 and 24 years. So there we go. Let's see, we have a video of it. Let me make sure I can skip any ads and then I'll pull it over. So this is going to be the hearing where they find out they're exonerated. Got Alvin Bragg sitting back there.
Counsel, your appearances, please. For Mr. Boles, Jane Pucher, Puchdr, from the Innocence Project. Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honors. Your Honor, may I proceed?
Of course.
Thank you, Judge. The people, for the reasons outlined in our papers submitted to the court, will join in both defendants' motions to vacate their convictions under indictment number 2194 of 94, and we also will be moving the court to dismiss the underlying indictments.
Motion today, and for the excellent work by the Post-Conviction Justice Unit and the Innocence Project in reinvestigating these crimes.
So that was a choppy clip, but ooh. Surprise ad. That was a very quick ad. But yeah, we get to see a little bit, and I always like to see the who's who. I mean, having the view into the emotions and being able to see the faces makes the story more real. And obviously you saw there was tons of camera flashes. This is great PR for the district attorney's office, but at the same time, I'm not going to be mad at PR initiatives that could motivate them to do the same thing again and again. So if it's rewarding to them in whatever means for them to actually review these cases and say, hey, we didn't, the DNA is an issue. We didn't turn over evidence that would have contradicted the quote unquote confessions. That's a problem. Let's keep looking into these things. I'm all for it being a PR move. It ends up having its good ancillary benefits. We also, let's see. It wouldn't let me go back to the article. Let me reload the article. That video messed it up. There was one quote here that bothered me slightly. So shout out to Alvin Bragg in his office for yes, let's vacate this. But he was asked, let's see. So let's just search for it. That's easier. Maybe I have the wrong article. I have another one open. We'll see if it's there. We do have a different quote here that I think it reminded me of Diamante Kendrick's plea hearing and what Adam Abate said. So we have here from Jane Pucher speaking for the Innocence Project in relation to Boles. She says, quote, when you're being lied to, when you're 17 years old, interrogated for 2 days straight, threatened without sleep, and then given a narrative to repeat back and told, you're not going home unless you do this. There's every pressure in the world for people to confess. So if you remember, we had the coverage from Atlanta Journal-Constitution. They noted that at Diamante Kendrick's, when he was accepting his plea, he said something like, man, I just want to go home. And Adam Abate said, just say yes, you can go home. That's the pressure. That's the exact pressure that's in this quote here. So maybe this was the one with the Alvin Bragg quote. Let's see. Yes, this is it. Okay. So this is the last little bit that, we didn't have this in the Innocence Project. I wanted to bring in all the context I could find. Let's see. So Bragg, a Democrat who wasn't in office at the time, demurred Thursday when asked about officers' conduct, instead faulting the systems that were in place decades ago. So, again, I'm going to applaud the post-conviction work that's being done now, but I think it's a bit hollow when asked about these issues, like statements not being turned over to the defense, reports not being turned over to the defense, detectives testifying about a footprint match when the forensic report doesn't show that and says it cannot show that. And Bragg responds saying, yeah, that's the fault of things that happened long ago, as if those things are not problems today. So I really didn't like this. It's very vague, so I'm reading into it a lot, I know, but still, I don't like it. All of the police and prosecutors who worked on the case likely retired or changed jobs years ago. So too bad, so sad, no consequences. And it's in the past, there's no problems now. So so there's that. Good to see you, Aaron. Sean says it's still more people wrongfully convicted on murder, robbery, and more in jail from 30 years, so probably present in jail. And the crazy part about that is, I mean, we're hearing that, we looked at a bad expert witness thing last weekend, and one of the bad expert witnesses, there's no recourse against him because he's now passed away. On the flip side, when you have people that are in prison for decades, there's a good chance that they might die there before they've had their day to have their exoneration. And that's crazy. And we've heard, I feel like, more and more stories where inmates are dying before they even get their trial. They're dying while they're being held pre-trial. So like, you can't even get your day in court, let alone get your day to like have your innocence case heard. So yeah, Trakisha, exactly that. But if not for the Innocence Project, would they have revisited the case? That's the thing. And I don't really. So the case I referenced at the beginning of the stream, that was a different Manhattan Conviction Integrity Unit, or like the PCGAU, whatever their acronym is. That was. Do you guys remember the story of the Times Square tourist murder? That was another 1980s case. They were, I believe, one of the two that were convicted. It was two friends that were convicted. I think they were both teenagers. I think one of them was like 14. But they went to prison, and they were, I'll drop the link to that here if you want to check that out. This is the Times Square story. And if I remember correctly, that was the type of scenario where the family members of the victim were like, look, we don't want them held if they weren't the ones that did it. So again, it is the pressures. Like, maybe they wouldn't have looked at this case if it wasn't for the Innocence Project, or if it wasn't for the PR that they could get out of it. But at the same time, I support that type of means to an end. I am adamantly opposed to, we have our sights set on somebody, so let's do anything we can, wrong or right, to score a conviction, to score a win, and get that guilty verdict. I'm so opposed to that. But I'm okay with hearing that a district attorney's office wants good press, so they're putting more towards their post-conviction causes. I'm okay with that. And let's see. Yes, Aaron always knows the context. Aaron's amazing. Aaron says there's no set amount per year for compensation in New York. A judge evaluates cases individually and determines the amount. Compensation can stem from a pardon or indictment dismissal based on innocence, an acquittal after a new trial, or the conviction being vacated or reversed. Cool. So interesting. So in this case, we heard at the hearing that they were willing to vacate the conviction, and then they also wanted to dismiss the indictment. So they hit both marks. Or maybe they had to say it that way because well, no, they did it for both. So yeah, Keely, I've got beef with Alvin Bragg for again, the cases that the district attorney's office tries contemporaneously, which is why I'm bothered by that quote where he's like, yeah, but all the bad stuff, all the mistakes, that was decades ago. Like, no, come on. Your office makes mistakes too. So and I would say I think some of the prosecutions are very high profile. Guys, one of the reason I really think that this channel started to have growth was because I grabbed the transcripts from the Jonathan Majors trial, and I think that was they never even offered him a plea. It was a misdemeanor, and they didn't offer him a plea. It was around the same time they were going after NBA player Kevin Porter Jr. And his girlfriend at the time, WNBA player Kaiser Kondrzic, she was going off about the behavior of the district attorney's office. They were going to where she was at the hospital and eavesdropping while she's speaking with the doctor. And they overheard something and they used it to charge Kevin Porter Jr. She has a congenital defect, and she was discussing that with the physician that she was speaking to. And the investigators were eavesdropping, ran and charged, and then it was all in the media, which is why, again, that PR is, I appreciate them doing these exonerations for the PR, right? But they also push convictions forward for the PR with these high profile celebrity type arrests and sensational stories. And they go and charge Kevin Porter Jr. They have the whole news. The news gets the information from prosecutors speaking at arraignment. Story spreads that he fractured Kaiser Kondrzic's neck. Never happened. Never happened. And Kaiser recorded phone calls with them. I forget what channel, but if you go on YouTube and look for it, you'll see she plays some of the recordings of her mom screaming at the ADA that was on the phone with her. And it's awesome to hear. I really loved listening to it. But yeah, Bragg has pissed me off many, many times. And I think his little quote that we looked at is a big sidestep. Yeah, that was a good little rant. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest, guys. Shannon Alexander says, happy Saturday, everyone. Heck yeah, it's a good one. Amber Dawn, good to see you over here. Says, almost seems like DAs are getting exposed lately. And I think that's good, because when bad is exposed and good is promoted, I think good stuff needs the coverage too, right? Me and my mom, right? If I tell my mom, oh my gosh, this food is super, super good, right? This is my favorite meal. She's going to make it more. She's going to be inclined to make that dish more often, right? So if we like stuff like this, if we like these stories, we've got to say, hey, we have demand for this type of coverage. We like when the news outlets talk about these stories. We like when post-conviction units, or whatever name it goes by in a certain area, look at these cases. We like when people like Jim ROBICHAUD are like, hey, we're gonna quit from working in the law firm we work at, and we're just gonna start buying all these documents. These are documents Jim has actually purchased, and you could tell look at him, how neat he organizes everything. We would not have records like this with Fulton County with the special prosecutor billable hours. But we've got to support and draw attention to these things, because it will motivate the people inside the system that are more directly working these cases to feel good about doing the right thing and to feel bad about doing the wrong thing. So let's see. Aaron says that's why the AG's office in Missouri irritates me. They oppose every attempt at, yes. So, guys, Marcellus Williams, huge case, prosecutor. Well, Wesley Bell's not. He's in a different position now, I think, right? Maybe not. But whatever. At the time, you have a prosecutor coming in. He's like, look, I think we should overturn this, or at least, take the death sentence off the table. There's some issues here. And they get the Supreme Court of Missouri to agree. They get on board. They're like, all right, well, cool. Attorney General comes stomping in like, no. You can't do that. You can't do that. And the difference there was just they took the death penalty off the table. He was still going to serve life, but the Attorney General was not satisfied with that. So Aaron, they're going to oppose every attempt at overturning a conviction, even if that would look good for them PR-wise. And again, this wouldn't even have been a conviction. This would have been a sentence modification. They would have taken the death penalty off the table, and they just huffed and puffed and ran in there all pissed off. Another example, to the point that they kept 2 people incarcerated for 10 days after their convictions were vacated. It's ridiculous. Like, just it's punishment. It's punishment for the loss. It's not punishment for something that the individual should be held accountable to, since they're no longer convicted of anything. We're just holding you because we can. Because we can. So, goodness. So while we're speaking, oh, why is it clicking? Oh, it's opening a picture. I was like, what's loading? So Jim put together this fund yesterday. We've raised $805. This is super awesome. Well, not we. I donated anonymously. Don't tell Jim. But he's looking to fund these documents. They're extremely, extremely expensive. And I know. Fundraiser I did on this channel a long time ago for transcripts from an Alvin Bragg prosecution in the Jonathan Majors trial. We got 4 days worth of transcripts, and one of them was like only the last hour and a half of the day. It was $2,600. And I waited till, if you wait for the lowest turnaround time, it gets cheaper. If you need like 48-hour turnaround, it's more expensive. 2-week turnaround's more expensive. Beyond that, it's the cheapest per page. So we waited, and it was still $2,600. So, and everybody chipped in, and it was well worth it, because what you see in the transcripts is not at all what was reported out loud about that case. And here, this is the post-conviction space. And think of the tangled web. This is all Fulton County. Think of the tangled web. We don't have reports. We have these weird affidavits being submitted as the basis, probable cause. Can you give us a warrant? You got to trace through all of these different documents and compile all of the ways things went wrong and try to piece the real story together. And that's laborious. So he's doing that work pro bono. It'd be great if we can help him cover the expenses, cover the document costs while he's committing his time. He's donating his time. So he's got some great stories in here. He says, if I should raise more than the goal amount, I would most likely save those funds for future transcripts and other documents. And should the need arise, I'd consider using those excess funds to cover the cost of travel to and within Georgia. So let's see. If you go over to the spreadsheet, and thank you, Factual Lie has dropped the Give, Send, Go in the chat. It's also in the description of this video. But he did this summary of the cases that he's looking at aside from Munktunk, right? So we've been saying Munktunk and other cases. He's finally identifying some of the other cases with names. So here's a preview of them. The first case you'll see is that of James McDowell, Lloyd Stevens, Demetrius Brewer. This is kind of tiny. The 3 of them were convicted for murder. In their case, the prosecutor claimed in her opening statement, and it's a her. You guys want to play a game in the chat and guess what prosecutor it was? You all know her. You all know her. In their case, the prosecutor claimed in her opening statement that a particular gun, arguably tied to 2 of the defendants, was the, quote, literal smoking gun. It absolutely was not. Everybody agreed that it was the wrong caliber. Factual Lie got it right away. There you go. There you go. The worst thing, the state destroyed the gun before trial. So the defense cannot independently verify the ballistics testing. I would like to take on a more active role in this case, but first need to finish reading the transcripts. He spent about $850 already on the first batch of transcripts in this case. So that's one of it. So if you have it out for love, and this pisses you off, just imagine her giving her opening statement, the literal smoking gun, and it wasn't the smoking gun. Consider contributing to the cause. The next case, we have Mills, White, and Carter. So he's done some videos talking about this case. They were convicted in the attempted murder under the second case he's listed. Okay, he says he's already started to cover it, but would like to go deeper. My viewers may remember this case as the Lyrics case. The state confused the defendants quoting Future, Boosie, YFN Lucci, and Yogati for explicit statements about the case. This is also the case in which the 3 defendants waited approximately 4 years and 9 months for their trial transcripts. Marquez Powell, the defendant in the 3rd case, was given a life sentence for murder. He was one of 2 passengers in a car in which the driver was killed. The state never determined which of the 2 was the shooter. Recently, I discovered that the state was doing DNA testing on certain items in the case, but was unable to get any information on that. The testing is not indicated or related to anything on the court's docket. That's interesting, right? They were doing DNA testing, but they don't submit anything to the actual case files about it. Do you think if they found something that pointed to the defendant while doing this, that information about it would be included in the docket somewhere? Additionally, GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation ballistics examiner for their case, the infamous Bernadette Davy, was fired for fabricating test results. I think that's concerning. So 2 big red flags here about this case that he wants to do a deeper dive into. The 4th case, all I can say about that one is that it is the single most outrageous case I've encountered, and I will 100% be litigating it. I will move into a tent outside of wherever Hancock State Prison is, past the Georgia bar, and do it myself if I have to. An absolute atrocity. So there you go. This is Jim kept his full composure and professionalism all the way here and then went full Jim here. He's like, I'm going to go camp out until this is resolved. The final case is that of Curtis Clark, who was convicted of murder and is serving a life sentence. Mr. Clark's first trial ended in a hung jury. Before the second trial, chat, guess what they found before the second trial? A mysteriously willing witness in jail, a jailbird witness, who just happened to be awaiting his own trial. Okay, of course. The state also entered into evidence certain similar prior transactions, which were similar in the sense that they involved guns, cars, and the city of Atlanta. This case, like the Powell case discussed above, involves certain DNA testing that did not appear to relate to anything in the court's docket. I anticipate closely following the Gregory King, Quintavis Unfunk Greer, and Miles Slato Farley. Okay, so I have always spelled his name wrong. I've always put an O and sometimes like an OU. And apparently that's not there. And it's not my fault because it's written wrong in the documents I've read with his name. So we're just going to call him Unfunk. Or is it Unfunk? And he says he will likely expend considerable time and money on those. So, and then he says he's grateful that we took the time to read this far. I'm deeply appreciative of any donations and will endeavor to put all donated funds to the best possible use. So there you go, you guys. I'll drop this one more time. You can also take a look at his spreadsheet for some of the cases that he's mentioned here for the cost of the documents he's already procured. Yeah, is that why he has it there in the... Okay, guys, there was I don't know if I called it out on stream, but there was one time where in a filing for Munktunk, a name was spelled wrong. And I'll let you guys go on a scavenger hunt for it. I'm not going to put it on blast. But it's one of my favorite of all time. So, and yeah, so Turkisha says it went from honorable lawyer miss to just love at like the lowercase L. Yeah, exactly. I was dying laughing. There's an emoji for this moment. There is an emoji. Let me get over here to the YouTube chat. Oh wait, there might be 2 emojis. Yeah, there's 2 emojis that can do this. This is what the name ended up being. a special treat if you're hanging out with us in the chat today. You'll be able to see it. So there's that, you guys. Before I kick this stream up, it was a bit unplanned. I wanted to try to talk about this case yesterday and just didn't have the time. So I was like, okay, we'll get together on Saturday and do it. I did try to look to see. I think it's like a slow day on YouTube. I didn't really see anyone to go redirect over to. Let me see if it gives me anyone live now. I'm very glad that everybody's enjoying their Saturday, though. Let's see. Yes, I don't know if you guys know anyone that's either live right now or is supposed to be going live at some point today that you want to shout out. Yeah, where are all the gang experts in these cases? Some of them, we do have the familiar names. So let's just watch some YSL. Do you want to? So I think, I randomly, because I couldn't find a redirect, I put a trailer at the beginning of this video with Doug Weinstein doing cross-examination with Michael Sprinkle, where he just gets up there with this huge display and he's like, do you see my client anywhere? No? Oh, okay. Okay, cool. That's all I have. So we could do a quick rewatch of something. Do you have a particular thing in mind? We could do like an hour of YSL. Let's see. Let me pull up like lawn crime. Do you guys have a witness? Or do you guys want to watch? Well, so if you guys didn't know, whenever we were doing a live, I think it was 2 days ago, Factual Lie mentioned the Roderick's Teasley trial that was over in Judge Scott McAfee's court. So he streams that. And that was actually, he was found guilty on all charges. That was a win for Christian Atkins. You guys remember Mr. Atkins? And I actually thought about watching through that trial, but since we already have a verdict, I was like, whatever. But they had a PowerPoint that they were using in closing that just pissed me off. They ended up, I could just pull it up on Twitter so we don't have to actually go through the whole thing. Well, look at this stupid slide. Let me make this bigger so we'll be able to see how stupid it is. Presumption of innocence. Look at the graphic choice. They put this cloak, and it just reminded me of the Dementor from Harry Potter. This is presumption of innocence is like a cloak draped over the defendant at the beginning of the trial. As witnesses testify and you hear the evidence, that cloak comes off. Now, this is so problematic because this is a linear argument. This is worded as if witnesses are here and testifying, that cloak is going to come off, which means if we have witnesses, the defendant's not innocent. As long as we can put a witness up there, credibility be damned. That if we have what we call evidence, we give it to you, then they're not innocent. That cloak comes off. So, very cocky way to write this. It continues that defendant is no longer innocent once his guilt is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So, yeah, yes, it's assuming guilt. It just made me mad. It made me mad. Shout out to Perfect Peace saying, and bringing snacks, bringing some coffee. Thank you so much. Good day to Perfect Peace. Let's see. Yeah. It's just very like it is kind of like morbid and creepy. So there was a recent Melly hearing. They're gonna keep the trial going on September 10th. So they're not delaying the trial anymore, and bond was denied. So there was that. Idiot wind shows up right as we're covering. Is the idiot wind what's holding this cloak up? I couldn't believe this, you guys. And you see they're using all these weird color codes. Then they had this one. This was another slide I screenshotted. The whole thing was a mess, and this wasn't, to be fair, Atkins was covering more so like the evidence presentation, and the other prosecutor was going over the law and their argument about the presumption of innocence in the first half. They have this slide that says 1 shot. The defendant got 11 shots at killing Dravion Matthew. We only get 1 at holding him accountable for taking yet another life from Fulton County. So this bothers me because, first of all, if there was a hung jury or a mistrial without prejudice, do you think they would take another shot at holding this person accountable? And what's the other problem? It shouldn't only matter that you've got 1 shot at holding a particular individual accountable. You should be trying to hold the person that you think that you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt did the thing accountable. But this just makes it seem like convict this one person no matter what. Please do it for the community. And then they go on, the state has proven this case beyond a reasonable doubt. This defendant is guilty of murder, but don't take my word for it. Look at the evidence that was presented. And this was after the slide where they wrote in that linear fashion that, we're going to put on evidence and that cloak of innocence just comes off. It's not really, you don't really get to weigh the evidence, but as they testify, presumption of innocence just goes away magically, no matter what the witnesses say. Just stupid. And then this is just for kicks and giggles. But while Atkins was doing his closing, my screen had froze and McAfee's face was stuck like this for like a minute. It's just over it. So I grabbed that in there. Thanks for becoming green, Idiot Wind. Yeah, once his guilt is proven. Yeah, this is a good point too, Aaron. The jury isn't even supposed to consider the sentence or what might happen if they can't reach a unanimous verdict. And they're just like, please. Do you guys remember Juror 409 from the YSL trial? She wasn't a deliberating juror, but she did 2 interviews with Dennis Byron. And she was the video where Jeffrey Williams is holding the younger kid outside. She was like traumatized by that. And she wanted to convict everybody because she just thought all of this stuff was bad vibes. And she wants to keep the community safe. And the type of thing that is on this slide here appeals to exactly that type of juror. Well, we wouldn't be here unless they did it. And it's going to be scary out there if we don't just convict this person they say did the bad thing. Why would they tell us they did a bad thing? Why would we be here if they didn't actually do the thing? So, so there's that. And I think our vote was just anything. We want to watch some Adrian Love. What was that day she was arguing about the Waters Road? Do you guys want to watch that one where I remember she was wearing the plaid blazer. And she said she was digging through boxes. Let's see. Waters Road. I think she had a hot mic. No, that was the day they were going through the PowerPoint. Let's see. Yeah, I have the word Waters a lot in my notes from the YSL trial. Ooh, I think, did I use the word sticks? No, because remember when they had Atkins reading like transcripts of the recorded calls from the Waters Road shooting? And he was like, "Sticks in the attic." He was like, his arm was all the way off the screen. Let's see. The only thing I could think of is before I started doing notes here. Okay, wait, I think I found it. We'll see. Oh, and I linked to my own video, so sorry, there's gonna be 2 of me on screen. I'm gonna hide myself. So this is 25 minutes, and it's about what happened with the Waters Road search.
And just to give the court a little bit of backstory, in addition to what Deputy Hilton discussed this morning, is this call is on March 16th, 2022 at 12:22 a.m. This is when at 2830 Waters Road, APD police officers arrived approximately around 12:08 a.m. after a lot of gunshots, which resulted in 11 defects in the front of that home, which ultimately inside of that home was Defendant Stillwell, Demekion Garlington, whose wiretap we have, Miles Farley, who is not in the current trial, but is charged with the murder of Shamel Drinks, as well as other YSL associates. And the significance is the shell casings from the murder of Mr. Ford and Mr. McMiller were connected with the Waters Road. And so this retaliatory back and forth, that backstory is significant with these calls we're about to play.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, with that said, I'm going to play PDF page 423. And for this one, we're going to play the entire call.
Okay.
And Jason, the DA handled the Ifgang case way different. That's why I think it's interesting that at least the former DA didn't even want to bring this case, this YSL case, forward.
Hey, how the hell you at? Where the hell you at? On the wood. Hey, ain't like no little bad cut? I don't know. Where the heck? I thought they in the front. Man, they got a goddamn. They do their back. They can't come in the house. Yeah, that was my house. So that's where I'm open the door.
And so, Your Honor, them whispering, this is Mr. Boyer, who Garlington is speaking with, his phone number. So officers, when they arrive, they ring the doorbell camera. There's a brief exchange from someone inside, and then they don't respond anymore. And ultimately, Demekion Garlington was in a crawl space. It was raining that night. And so the significance of this is they're speaking amongst each other because they don't initially know, who's at the door. Police respond because of all the shots that were into the home. And so it shows their coordination. And although the phone number itself for 423 is Mr. Boyer's, one of my co-counsels had stated, we believe it's Defendant Stillwell on the call. Okay. But the significance of them speaking while, it's 20 minutes after APD arrives to the house, and it takes some time for them to fully come out of the home. So it's in furtherance of the conspiracy because they're coordinating with one another about where are you? And he says, I'm in the woods. And then I believe Mr. Garlington is underneath the house when he's making this call in the crawl space.
So the context of this call is it's directly after, to my understanding, individuals shot at 2830 Waters Road. That would not be a crime committed by our clients. I don't know what could. I think the context of the call makes it clear that they're trying to avoid interactions with the police. I mean, I'm not going to argue that that's not the context, but I don't know if that's part of a criminal conspiracy. I mean, they were just victimized and they're trying not to talk to the police about it. I don't know if communications on a phone about that would be in furtherance of a conspiracy because there's no underlying criminal act, as far as I know of, that is being furthered.
Your Honor, the conspiracy itself, coordinating with one another in the wake of an act that has been committed in the wake of criminal activity at that house. We believe that the other calls will show that there are guns in the attic that they want to keep concealed from the police. They want to keep themselves secreted and separate from that location. It's one of their trap houses, and them coordinating with one another to evade detection by the police does further the interests of the gang by keeping themselves from being detected and found out and connected to that house by the police. So calling to find out where each other is, because the police did descend upon this house where hundreds of shell casings were found in the yard. And it was one of those central locations that was involved in the wake of the shooting of Mr. Ford, Mr. McMiller, and Mr. Drinks. We believe that this communication does further the conspiracy of the YSL enterprise and the criminal street gang, and its enduring, detection from the police for their criminal activities by apprising each other of where they are in relation to the hot spot or the hot zone.
Okay, and let me ask you so that I am sure what my understanding of it is. Mr. Atkins, you had said shell casings from this scene are connected to the Drinks murder. So this wasn't just like a shoot up. This was a shoot back and forth.
So, Your Honor, the shell casings from Waters Road connected with the murder on March 11th of Mr. McMiller and Mr. Ford, who were.
Okay, I misunderstood you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's the state's belief that the rival gang was responsible for both.
No,
of
I
them.
understand. I just
Yes, Your
had written down the wrong set of murders.
And Your Honor, I left out one, I think, relevant fact. The police actually did come in contact with these individuals eventually,
Mhm.
and they released them without charging them with anything.
Is that before, I mean, did they search the house at that
Yes.
point?
Yeah, well, they see a gentleman in the house laying down, and then they try to speak accurately about how this happened. They went into the house. That's right. They went in the house upon seeing someone on the ground and detained all the individuals and then let them go without filing any charges.
They didn't search the house that day. They went in and detained, and Mr. Stillwell was later found to have been wearing at the house the same clothes.
Okay.
But no, they didn't search the house at that time. They didn't have a search warrant for it.
I never said anything about them searching the house or not searching the
But
house.
that's what I asked.
They went in the house and not arrested, detained people and then released them without charging them because
And
it was
without searching the house.
and without searching the house. They later searched the house.
Okay.
2 days later.
And I don't believe anyone is charged, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe anyone in this indictment is charged with anything that was found in the house.
They didn't find anything because they took it out before the police searched the house.
So
They can
Wow.
hear what you're saying. Pull the
Wow. She's pissed.
mic. Oh, great. We've got a second mic. Good deal.
They found some stuff, but we believe that the things that they referenced in the call.
Hold on. She just said two different things.
There was a number of things that were in the house that we know were in the house prior to them searching the house that were not in the house when they searched the house.
All right.
Hold on.
But before the police searched the house.
and is charged with anything that was found in the house.
They didn't find anything because they took it out before the police searched the house.
So
They can't hear what you're saying. Pull the mic. Oh, great. We've got a second mic. Good deal.
They found some stuff, but we believe that the things that they referenced in the calls
Okay.
were removed from the house. There was a number of things that were in the house that we know were in the house prior to them searching the house that were not in the house when they searched the house.
All right. Well, based on, and we're going to hear that soon enough.
Yes.
Based on what's about to come up, I'm going to admit that under the co-conspirator exception, since there's apparently some evidence that they were concerned about some criminal activity or contraband or something in the house.
Yes, and I think that the next call might shed
All
more
right.
light on it.
So, Your Honor, the next call we're turning to is 472. So the call we just played was at 12:22 a.m. This is at 4:33 a.m. again on March 16th.
Good, nigga?
Hello.
You good?
Yeah. What is it?
What the hell you mean, nigga?
I ain't even say, I ain't saving no number.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Where the hell you at? You gone?
Yeah. I'm about to drop my L though.
Share mine, boy. It's all love, boy. I can't wait, boy. I gotta go home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he just ran in the store real quick.
Yeah, so it was all love. I ain't waiting, boy. I gotta go, boy. That shit just shook the fuck out of me.
Man, what, man? When I seen this, when I see it,
Man, what? Man, that whole just, man, boy, listen, boy, I just said to myself, boy, man, let me out that car. Boy, I'm gonna go in, boy, and I ain't coming back outside, boy. I don't care if I have no run or nothing, boy. Them motherfuckers ain't moving.
hey, what? I said the same shit, what? Come on, everything. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like,
What's so crazy, bro? I was just being cheap. I said, was being cheap. My whole keep saying, let's get a run like him. I'm not gonna pay no wrong. Man, listen, boy, I just said, damn, boy. They can send a nigga right screen with their money like that. My nigga gonna spend this shit on them in the room, man.
man, what? I'm trying to, hey, that's on TV. I mean, I'm like, no, but I got to get my last 2,000. I got to get lawyered in. I'm like, man, well, I'm in that beat like, you know, man, damn.
But you wouldn't believe, boy, all the sticks and the guns was in the gray car.
For real?
Man, God, boy, and the sticks and shit in the attic.
Ooh, shit, boy, that was done, boy.
Well, what?
Your Honor, I'll continue playing, but when they're saying that the sticks are up in the attic, it's the state's theory that they're talking about the Waters Roadhouse.
You're talking about what?
When we were just discussing what's inside of the home or not inside the home, it's the states that line about those sticks up in the attic. Sticks is short term for AK-47s or longer handguns. I mean, rifles, that they're talking about the guns in the attic of the Waters Road home that all these police swarmed after the gunshots. I'm going to continue playing. And also to orient the court, Your Honor, this phone number, which ends in 1103, the state attributes to Mr. Charles client. So it's Garlington and him speaking.
That was done. Yeah. I know, yeah, get up out of there, bro. Baby. What they went? Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, nah, man. You know how far I gotta go.
Oh yeah. Hope got down. Blow it up.
She went.
She blowed it up, boy.
Hey, man, she blew my shit up.
You saying Shannon okay, man? Hold on, let me see.
All right.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. You walk in, these girls think, I'm like, well, I know for a fact, you know.
Well, what? You know who she was coming to then?
She say all this same shit though. She like, so you, cause she like, who happy? I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm telling you my first time here. She was like,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man, listen, bro. I'm thinking. Get what I kept saying. I said, boy, I know DML. I'm smart. I know they saw them both. Got her. They took her to the front. I said, I know they hit that back cut.
I really believe. I'm trying to find out. Back cut. That's why I called you.
Man, you talking about? Well, I would have made one straight through the motherfucking bush back there. Boy, I'm telling you, I would have went trucking back there.
Well, guess what? We only got caught. He's talking about once they legs showing. He thinks somebody in the house dead, bro.
But they tell me like, so you telling me nobody in the house? I'm like, hell, man, hey, listen, man, I just pulled up. I said, I signed 3 minutes. Top, the motherfucker go popping. So shit.
I said the same shit.
Oh God, well, I said I signed 3 minutes. Popping, them motherfucker went to popping. So shit, I went to got down ducking and running. They to myself, why you ain't so why you ain't got down? I thought it comes to also. I said to my so why you ain't got down come out when we said Atlanta police? I'm like, shit, I don't trust Atlanta police. I'm like, these folks, I'm thinking these folks trying to get her to come out. So shit, I stayed in.
Yeah.
Oh God, they're like, yeah. I'm like, look, bro, y'all question me like I'm a suspect. I'm a victim. They're like, yeah, you right. They're like, but let us do what we gotta do. We'll get back with you if everything come out clean. Then we'll let y'all go. Like, say less. I'm in the car sleep. I can't wait. When they tell me that, I kick back. Don't got down. Go out.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You know that? They can't get the video from Nick on camera.
Hell no.
Yeah. Okay.
But you wouldn't believe, boy. I'm in the mother like, boy, I know they can't come in here. We good, bro. I'm like, I'm telling bro, like, we good, but they probably.
You told me I was in the wood. You told me I was in the wood.
I was up under the house, man. You don't see how dirty I am?
Oh, we heard them get there. They like, hey, move. You like, hey, I done that. I go out the back door. No, I go out the back door, right? So I'm finna go toward the car and hop in the car and just sit in the car the whole time. That's what they hit to. And I go to the other side, finna try to hop the fence. They like, hey.
I'm telling you what you gonna do. Go get that cut, boy.
I know it. I everybody what a cut was. They said, I didn't know.
Man, listen, man. You probably made your cut. Yeah, like you ain't from the hood, boy. You know how this shit go. I would have went back there and made me a cut, but I would have been trucking through the motherfucker. That's why I got that shoes so dirty, my pants dirty, and my shoes dirty.
Real. They say, so this is about Matt, man? I said, man, I don't know.
Man, listen, man, they asked me, do I know Matt, man? I said, I don't know no motherfucking Matt, man. Who are that?
Yeah.
I said, man, I'm not even from over here, bro. I'm from Somerville area, bro.
Yeah.
So what you doing over here? Man, I can't see a friend, man. I'm trying to talk about that game, man.
What you talking about? Damn, man. That whole blowing me up. That whole thinking nigga Sheen, all type of shit. That nigga was so cool though. He got damn called back. I need to put a lock on my phone and take my like have my messages pop out.
This shit crazy, bro. I'm finna go in, but I'm finna gotta get out the driver's seat, let her drive, tell her drive slow as possible. I got down, my stupid ass went in the car, got my stick out the car and my FN out the car. Watch where right there, got in the car, pulled up. They're really why I ain't want to wait on mine.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna text now. Yeah, man. Folks blowing her air. She called too.
Sure. How she get some? No.
I don't know. You know, Kira got my Instagram on her phone.
Oh.
She about to DM me like, "Is you okay?" So goddamn, yeah, blowing up. So my Kira's already on the phone. I get Kira and her number to
Pope.
Yeah, Pope. I don't on the phone. I'm like, damn, man. But I say, I'm like, yeah, bro.
Bro, listen, bro, I kept telling myself, I don't know what the fuck. I'm on drill time though, so I'm really like, I ain't going nowhere. But I'm telling myself, pull out, nigga, pull out.
You ain't hear me say, what? I let go.
Man, listen, you said let go, Miles said let go, Brad said let go, but I'm on drill time, so I'm just like, man, fuck that, boy.
Yeah.
I'm so mad. This time they served, he was just telling me like, he was like, you somebody follow D or your girl or it's that whole Elmo, cause they serve Elmo. I was like, man, Elmo fuck with them folk.
Yeah.
Elmo.
Ain't nobody following me. Nobody on the freeway when I got off the night.
Man, listen, man. Don't nobody know my hoe. Come my hoe in a run, man. Fresh run, a new run. Them motherfuckers just got in the run. And my hoe coming from goddamn, all the way from goddamn out here. So come on, man. Stop playing.
Yeah, man. I know for a fact nobody follow me. Don't even know what I'm in. Don't nobody know I fuck with the hoe.
Don't nobody know what I'm in, though. I'm telling, like, these folks ain't knowing these cars. I'm telling him, like, bro, these folks ain't knowing none of these cars, bro. All these cars are some new goddamn cars. Niggas ain't played.
Yeah. Damn, man. I hear them boys do it. Damn.
They're crazy, bro. Don't nobody know. Them folks don't be knowing where that spot at, man.
Yeah.
It's like a head drop at, bro.
But on God, boy, I know what I believe. On TV, that's what I believe, boy.
So hey, boy, I ain't gonna lie, boy. I know you happy like I'm happy, boy. I'm happy as hell, boy. I just was saying to myself. Get what I just was saying to myself. I just was saying to myself, boy. Man, all these niggas might get out to man deep, boy.
Oh, man, on God.
I'm like to him, boy. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's
That's the end of that
pretty
call, Your Honor. The
not
state feels
great.
this really has two methods of admissibility. The state feels that Garlington and defendant Stillwell speaking about, for one, when they say sticks and FNs, those are firearms. They're mentioning about a female they know, and they say that she's dating or sleeping with the ops. They're also mentioning how APD, this is 2022, was the APD gang units was following the YSL and YFN or IF gang back and forth. And so they kind of, in APD gang unit, when they were talking about, they're like, I don't know, McMahon, they're laughing. They're kind of saying, I just got to the house. APD is thinking like before the investigation is complete, because the shooting just happened, that it was probably YFN who just shot up this Waters Road, which is a known YSL spot, because they believe that they murdered their friends 5 days ago. And so with that said, all of their conversation, they're talking about getting away. You should have run this way through the woods. And when he says, I'm on drill time, because they were just shot at by the state's theory of rivals, if you're on drill time, you're trying to go either shoot somebody or murder somebody in retaliation. And so that's why he says, I was so mad I was on drill time, but the police came because they were just shot at. So they all hid under that at that house. With all that said, you have statement of party opponent against defendant Stillwell, but the state feels that they're keeping abreast of the conspiracy, talking about how they evaded police detection, at least for some time. When they're talking about, I think they used the term Miss V, they're talking about Detective Viverito, who also used to be a probation officer and is very familiar with the individuals at that home. And so what happened in terms of the search warrant, Your Honor, is the search warrant was executed March 17th. This was March 16th.
Anyone know more on
Any questions
Viverito?
from the court? That's why the state feels this is admissible.
Oh my God, chat. Past Cat is asking, this is before we knew Viverito. This is present day Viverito overlay on the screen that I just put up there. What a moment in time. Look at me asking, who's Viverito?
There is. The search warrant was executed March 17th. This was March 16th.
Anyone know more on
Any questions
Viverito?
from the court? That's why the state feels this is admissible.
So I'm going off of
Oh, this is like a time capsule, you guys. So the reason we're watching it with me on the screen is because the clip that I had in my notes, it was I clipped the segment and linked to that clip. So I don't know exactly where this would be on Law and Crime to watch without me on the screen twice. So sorry about that, but that is a golden moment. Yeah, Aaron says, anyone know more on Viverito? God, I wish I don't. I think it was right around this time I went and looked her up, and that's when I found the Daubert hearings, the 2 Daubert hearings with Viverito, and pulled those transcripts, and I was like, what is going on with this lady? And I didn't really read the full thing quite yet until we started to get to, I remember we had Detective Flores on the stand, and then we had Viverito start to testify, and I think I was like, okay, wait, let me go back and read that. And lo and behold, she has become a fixture. Even yesterday, there's a viral story coming out of Rochester, New York, because there's a mountain lion on the loose. And this guy, Curtis Jones, like a Rochester resident, is on a video and he's like, and I heard it roar. And he's like imitating how he was outside and he's holding a little kid's aluminum baseball bat. He's like, I looked it in the eyes. And he's like, I don't play that. I don't deal with lions. I don't deal with tigers. I don't even do roller coasters. So his video about seeing the lion is going viral. But the headline for it was like, I just seen something in the bushes. And when I saw that, obviously, you guys know the first thing I thought of was Viverito and her own statement about how she does work in the field, hiding in the bushes on Cleveland Avenue, observing the citizens in their natural habitat. Her words, her verbiage. So, oh, and Jenny says, after Jim's deep dive in what you need to do to be an expert, just get 70% on a test, 35 of 50 questions. None of them could be experts. Yep, and they all text and examine themselves. I want to give a huge shout out. And Idiot Win said that she, can't be in the chat too much. She's just one of our listening. She's in the bushes lurking. Pick Viverito out of there. Huge, very generously gifted, 20 gifted subs. So coincidentally, a lot of the channel emojis are still from the YSL trial. It's a good opportunity to use those since we're doing a little rewind. But huge thank you to Idiot Wind. Huge supporter over here. Recently saw, I think it was either Zachariah Anderson or maybe Richard Allen. I saw you over in one of the fundraising streams for one of those 2 trials, because again, transcripts are extremely expensive, you guys. And she was having some trouble. She's over in the UK. UK doesn't play friendly with some of the ways that us Americans fundraise. So we had to troubleshoot that, but she was determined to help, and that was awesome. We're gonna get through this. I did want to show you guys. I honestly can't believe it. I looked back through my wall of clips and there's a million. I have Love Argues Forever. Judge finally says no. Love's Theory Wrecked. This video is not from January 26th. Love's Major Screw Up about the Alford plea. What else do we have with Love? Rebuke Them Too, when she gets mad. Remember when Love got rebuked and she, like 5 minutes later, was like, can you rebuke the defense attorneys? Love loses on the email argument. We've got, do you really want to call another attorney to the stand? Everybody's annoyed with Love. Like, there's just so many clips that are centered on Love that if you guys want, maybe we can do a Love-a-palooza. We can get together tomorrow and watch some of these. And a lot of them are short. They're like anywhere between 5 and 30 minutes. So this must have been the blue shell incident. Do you guys remember that? We had to strike an entire witness testimony because it was relating to a shooting that wasn't part of the indictment. And it was really the blue flame, but I kept calling it blue shell or something. I think that's what it was. I don't know. So that's why we have these clips of me, just because that was the easiest way for me to find them, which is crazy. And for context, you guys, the Waters Road incident that we're listening to, this was in relation to the Chamel drink shooting. Remember, the state's theory of this case was the Chamel drinks murder, which ends up taking place 2 days later after these recordings that we're hearing. It was supposed to be part of a back and forth between YSL and YFN associates. And before the Waters Road shooting that we're hearing about, hearing these phone calls from and having these search warrant issues, we have a day, I think 2 days before that, maybe 1 day before that, we have that infamous riddled with bullets incident where Hilton's press, and then it's like, well, how many bullets? One. Well, that incident was in relation to the shooting of Darius Ford and Christian McMiller. I'm unsure of their first names, but Ford and McMiller. And they think that this was, the Ford McMiller shooting, then this Waters Road shooting, and then Chamel drinks because he was seen in pictures with the ops. That Shannon Stillwell and Demikian Garlington and Miles Farley and was it Nichols? I think that was the four. They were in these two cars. They saw Chamel drinks and they said, let's get him in retribution. So that's how all of this stuff ties into the YSL trial. Again, according to Viverito. This is Viverito's investigation. So that's the background. Yeah, hiding in the bushes on Cleveland was crazy. Yeah, you could never tell me that, though. If I didn't read those in the Daubert transcript, transcribed from Viverito's own words, you could not have, if I just heard someone else say she said that, I would have thought it was hyperbolic and exaggerated. Yeah. Just crazy. Just crazy. Oh my goodness. Guy Vermectin, good to see you. So if you're live with us, Guy Vermectin, we went a little off the rails of our initial story of wrongful convictions. But we're still keeping it in line with stupid prosecutions. Good to see you. And Creatively Gariel, good to see you. So we'll continue this, and guys, if you want, if nobody's really doing YouTube stuff tomorrow, like when Jim's been doing streams, I've been trying to make sure, head over there, get his watch time up. Because he's doing coverage, he's doing all this pro bono work. It'd be cool if he could finally get monetized on YouTube. I think he's approaching the threshold for it. You need 3,000 watch hours. But if he's going to be live, I will not go live tomorrow. If somebody else is doing something, I'll probably try to go over there. But if it's a slow day and you guys want to get together and watch some more Love YSL clips, we can do a little reunion.
My understanding of the events, and I'm sure Mr. Atkins will correct me if he disagrees. I don't believe what was said earlier by another person on stateside was completely accurate. The police entered the house. They secured the location. They searched the house. I believe, and Mr. Atkins can correct me if I'm wrong, but my recollection is they did find firearms and they found ammunition. The reason I bring that.
Ooh, chat. This is great to watch as a rewind. So this is relating back to Love at the beginning of the same clip that we're watching. She's like, they took the stuff out of the house before they got it. And we did see later in the trial, they made this argument that because you could see through the door, there were like televisions on the wall. And later, a few days later, they only had the cables remaining. Sure, that looks like a change between then and now, but you can't say it wasn't the person who owned the property. It wasn't one of the people that lived there rather than the people you actually have on trial. But Shard's correct here. Remember, we had like the bucket that they found in the attic with some shell casings, and I think there was like a little baggie of weed just sitting with all of it. And then they said that they recovered one of the firearms that they tried to tie to Stillwell. They recovered it from the shelf of a closet while doing this initial walkthrough. And Love, just if you took Love at face value, you would think they went back 3 days later and got that. So let's hear Shart argue with the steam coming off his bald head.
That up is because none of the firearms located at the house had anything to do with any crime scenes
Wow.
on this case. So when we're, the state's saying that that's my client, it's clear the context. There's statements, I think retrospective statements about guns. My client, to admit against my client, I concede would not have to be a statement by a co-conspirator. I believe that my argument regarding Mr. Stillwell's statements are a 403. He's talking about guns. He's talking about a lot of guns. All that is bad character, it's prejudicial to us. And I don't believe that any of these firearms that are found in the house, I know none of the firearms that are found in the house have anything to do with any of the charged crimes in this indictment. So that's my argument on behalf of Mr. Stillwell, who doesn't really have a co-conspirator argument.
I think it's more an admission of a party opponent, but it is all retrospective, I believe. And therefore, insofar as it may be a co-conspirator's statement, it is akin to the classic spilling the beans. Man, this is what we did. They came in there. I was running out to the woods. That's all saying what happened. And what happened is the classic spilling the beans. So I don't believe that it would be admissible as a 801D2E statement, would be my position. Be admissible against others, but not as to the conspiracy.
Potentially admissible against others, I think is what you're saying.
Your Honor, the classic argument always in furtherance of the conspiracy is always, defense counsel who's trying to keep out a statement is going to orient to spill the beans, and the state's going to argue it's in furtherance. And that is the crux of the matter always. The state, and this is in the state's filed response to Mr. Shart's motion for reconsideration on what Demekion Garlington told or Kenneth Copeland when we filed that a couple weeks ago. But the seminal case is Kemp v. State, which is 303 Georgia. I'm using my motion for quick hand to find the site, but 303 Georgia 385, which is 2018. Another important case is Chavers v. State, which is 304 Georgia 88. Oh, my apologies, Madam Court Reporter. Yes, Chavers v. State 304 Georgia 887, which is a 2019 case that also cites Kemp. And a key part here, when you have, take aside the RICO count one, when you have a criminal street gang, the statements that keep other co-conspirators of the larger criminal street gang, not necessarily the individual murder or crime, keeping them abreast of even past activities, that, and also statements that foster cohesion, because when you listen to this call, right after they've been shot at, right after the police that they were not clearly, trying to evade were there, they are speaking about all of those events in kind of a cohesive unit, right? They shot at us. The police were trying to get us, and they're talking about what happened. So the case law within Kemp, Shavers, all of that is why in gang cases, the criminal street gang, and also the count one conspiracy, which kind of become part and parcel of the same in this case, because it's the YSL enterprise, as the state alleged, those statements, even of past activities, do serve a purpose because they keep cohesiveness. It keeps in us versus them, and keeping each other abreast of the criminal enterprise's activities, whether the person speaking or receiving that information individually participated in it. The criminal street gang's activities is something that the case law allows as 801D2E, as in furtherance. So I just wanted to highlight that for the court, because the state's argument is going to all, when appropriate in this circumstance the state feels it is, it's going to be under the prognosy, so to speak, of Kemp, Shavers, and I believe Hassan v. State, which is a March 19, 2024 Supreme Court of Georgia, also discusses this, but I wanted to confirm that, but that's a much more recent decision before citing it to the court. But that's the state's response, Your Honor.
Okay,
Why it's in furtherance.
Can I please respond to that? We're talking about, the state starts by saying, oh, the defense always says it's not it's retrospective. Well, the state always says, they throw out these buzzwords, cohesiveness, kept them apprised of the events. So the buzzwords from the state are the same they're accusing the defense of using, but it's the same buzzwords. It's the same thing every single time. And there are just as many cases out there that say retrospective prior conversations are not part of the co-conspirators exception to the hearsay rule. Stafford versus the state, 312 Georgia 811. State versus Lane, 308 Georgia 10. State versus Wilkins, 302 Georgia 156. There are cases after cases after cases that specifically say a retrospective statement that merely recounts what happened. And that's the whole tenor of this conversation, is not in furtherance of the conspiracy. So, you know, buzzwords go both ways, baby. And I'm just as tired of.
Oh my gosh, chat. Hold on, we got to do that again. We got to run it back.
Whole tenor of this conversation is not in furtherance of the conspiracy. So, you know, buzzwords go both ways, baby. And I'm just as tired of hearing the cohesiveness and keeping
Look at
people
Nichols.
apprised. So, you know, there are two ways that this goes.
All right. Thank you, counsel. I'm going to admit this as a statement by a party.
Hold on. Okay. Let me move this banner down. Let me put myself back up here. Look at Nichols mute the mic for Bruce after this. Look at him reach his arm forward.
Thank you, counsel. I'm going to admit this as a statement by a party opponent as to Stillwell and admit it additionally under the co-conspirator exception.
Okay, so there was that clip. Yeah, this was evidentiary without the jury present. I think another good one we could do today. Where was the banana one? I saw the banana thing mentioned. Oh no, this is 37 minutes. Never mind. We'll do that tomorrow. Let's get across. Let's get a nice short little love clip in here. The scene, city or scene. Let's see. Okay, let's do the snitching meme. Let's do this one.
On your friends. So, Your Honor, the reason that this meme, we would argue, is relevant. You're about to get 20 years for a crime your best friend did last night. Do you snitch or take the beef? You tell the punk ass police to do their fucking job. So Mr. Sledge, in his interview, he essentially said as much. On his video that the court heard a moment ago, he intimated as much. But what he's doing in this particular posting is making a public proclamation displaying their belief towards snitching. You have not only Mr. Sledge making that lie to their mama and lie to their sister, get into court and tell the God is on his truth. You have Mr. Williams, who posted a similar video with Mr. Sledge apparently in the background, mumbling, saying, sort of signing on to whatever it was that Mr. Williams was saying at the time. We would argue this right here is more of that, this is who we are. You know, we don't snitch. You let the police do what they're supposed to do, but you don't tell on your friends. And under the circumstances,
that's really not what this meme says, though. The psychological pull of this meme is, would you pin something on someone that they didn't do, or would you snitch on somebody if it meant you could save yourself or end up facing 20 years? Let's pull this meme back up on the screen here. You're about to get 20 years for a crime your best friend did last night. Do you snitch or take the beef? And this is supposed to be something that gets engagement on social media and gets people to like say like, hell no, I'm not taking the fall for them 20 years. Maybe if it was 2 days, right? Responses like that. And then she's over here saying like, you just lie. you just lie. I think the point of this meme is to say, no, you're not going to lie on behalf of your friend, because why would you do 20 whole years? I think we were like here. We'll see. She has the whole meme backwards.
Don't snitch. You let the police do what they're supposed to do, but you don't tell on your friends. And under the circumstances of this trial, especially
Which of these
considering
people
some of
went
the
to
testimony
jail
the jury
for
has
their
heard, we believe
friends?
that this particular type of posting, public posting, is very relevant to explain some of what the jury has seen.
Okay.
Two things, Your Honor.
Yes.
First, the state has said they have a video of Mr. Williams saying things about snitching and Mr. Sledge saying things about snitching. So this is cumulative. Also, the state keeps saying they feel this, they're saying this. Mr. Sledge owns and operates, presumably, his own Instagram account. At no point does he make any reference to anyone involved in this case. At no point is he saying he's speaking for YSL. At no point is he hashtagging YSL or at YSL, anything. He's making a comment as an individual on his individual page. And he's really sharing a meme, but I don't know why that's relevant. And it's certainly cumulative when the state just said they have other people. They have him actually giving a statement, and they have Mr. Williams giving a statement. That's already in evidence.
All right.
This particular assertion, it doesn't just say no snitching. It says you're about to get 20 years for a crime your best friend did last night. So the fact that Mr. Williams has made an assertion that is very similar in nature to the one that Mr. Sledge has made, and then the fact that this particular posting references not just telling on someone, but you're about to take the heat for something your friends did. It's displaying yet another message to the public about YSL and we would argue, their willingness to stick together and stand on, their loyalty towards one another. The argument, I don't know that it's so much necessary to say that it's, it would be our argument that he is asserting the sensibility, the.
You know what? So, Aaron, you've got me thinking here. Future contemporaneous cat is back. Aaron says, I mean, if we want to be real about it, Shannon and Yak are the only people at this point who sat in jail for their friends' crimes. And I wouldn't characterize Mungtung's conviction as doing time for your friend, because Zachary and Garlington did time for it too. Now, you have me thinking here. How does this meme relate to an indictment when 26 individuals are indicted that are all supposed to be friends and associates hanging out at the Webb house and doing all of these things, hooting and hollering together? How does this meme fit this context at all with this huge indictment? Like, just crazy. Yeah, and Amber Dawn says she's got to be embarrassed, all the stuff she said with a straight face. I don't think she is. I think she's fine with it. And same, Jenny. So again, I don't know if you hear in the beginning of the stream, but we did talk about, Atkins just prosecuted a case without love, got the conviction. I didn't see the first days 1 and 2 of the trial, and I have very strong criticisms of some of the closing arguments that I did catch. But still, there wasn't an Adrian Love present, and I just imagine that that's probably much smoother sailing for any trial in Fulton County. And then Hilton's very clear with her facial expressions sometimes when Love is going off the rails. So let's see. We got like another couple minutes here of Love trying to get this meme in.
Way that YSL operates, that's what we would be doing. It's proof, we would argue, it's our evidence of the way that YSL sort of.
All right, I'm going to
promotes
sustain that objection on 403 grounds. What's next?
She just wanted to end the word salad. Oh man. All that. Look at her face. Look at Paige's face. Oh my God. She's over it. She's over it. Oh. All right. Do we have another short one? What do we got here? We can go and look at. That was the meme denied. Oh, hold on. Is this the. Okay, we're going to do a little mic and quiz. This was the day, I think. Let's see.
Let's talk about the stolen IDs in the rental car and the laptop in the apartment on
Deshaun.
June 10th, 2015, okay? And that's the day that the federal agents kicked into Sean's door and locked you up. And that's also the same day that you made up the story and lied and said Demekion Garlington told you that Shannon and others were responsible for killing Donovan Thomas, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you play DS23I for me, Mr. Kokomo? And that's States Exhibit 378 Yankee Echo from June 10th, 2015, from 11:25:01 to 11:26:20.
Like I said, you didn't say that. You said, I tell you, did that shit. Yeah. Okay. There's one of them.
Tyrone Dennis.
Can you play it again?
Yes, we can.
Like I said, you didn't say that. You said, I tell you, did that shit. Yeah. Okay. There's one of them. Need the history. Little Mike. Little Mike, please.
In that clip, you're being asked about how those stolen items ended up in your apartment and your rental car, correct?
Yes.
And you're telling the investigators that you didn't do those auto breakings that resulted in those items being stolen, correct?
Right.
You're saying it was Little Mike and Quez from Etheridge?
Yes. You never heard of them? You never heard of them? They went home. Whatever they try to look out there. I'm pretty wait. You put out the other day about 5 times of y'all. There's gonna be a lot of motherfuckers out there. How am I gonna know it's them? You. Well. Why you got to know? I don't know. Why I got to know? How time Jews out for? What that mean? Make me run out for? What, sell somebody out there? No, just like, I mean, it's like, what's the purpose? Make me run out for? How did you get it? How did you get it? Shit, then I got it. When they bought the cup, Tay bought the cup at them. Wait a minute, Tay brought the Jeep. Yeah. Lizzie, bro. No. You know what I'm talking about. You talking about Trevante. Yeah, you let Trevante use the car. Yeah, he's supposed to kill him. You know what I'm saying? But when they pull their car, I let him go.
Okay. There you're saying that you gave the car to Trevante, who gave it to Lil Mike and Quez, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you would agree that detectives Gaither and Dennis are telling you we've never even heard of Lil Mike and Quez, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland, Lil Mike is not a real person, is he?
No.
That was the finesse. You invented a person out of thin air, correct?
Yes.
Quez is not a real person. You invented him out of thin air on the spot, correct?
Yes.
You invented those people to take the heat off of you and put it on fictional characters.
I done told y'all this is what I do.
That's your finesse, right? The reality is
Look at love.
that That stolen
No.
merchandise was found in your apartment and in your rental car, and you invented fictional characters to take the heat off yourself, right? I know you're going to say, I told you that's what I do,
I guess.
but I got to ask the questions. You understand?
Yes.
Okay.
This was crazy. This is crazy. And I think like the fact that the detectives were asking in the moment and saying that they didn't believe him, they didn't know who these people were. But yet we still made it all the way here because of what they wanted to consider truthful from his interviews. It's just ridiculous. It's never going to get any more logical. It's never going to seem sensible. Oh yeah, that was good too. And he said he didn't break into the car. It was open. The truck that was outside, TIG. Oh my God, the chat was dying. I think we did an exercise that day. I think we did all right, make up an excuse that you have to blame on Lil Mike and Quez. And people were like, I'm sorry I was late for work. I had to help my friend my friend Lil Mike change their tires. Like everybody was just coming up with fake excuses to blame Lil Mike and Quez for things. Guys, what memories. And at the beginning of this video, super cute. Let me look at Steph. It was the day that Steph JK became a mod. Just little memories here preserved on the screen. And I see, do we have another short one? Where is this long gallery? Yeah, we can get together and do a dedicated stream with some of these longer clips. The Bruce nested hearsay would be good. He had like a blood vessel about to burst about that. Maybe the everybody's annoyed with Miss Love. Let's do this one. This is 13. Oh, wait, no, let's do this one too first.
Generally speaking,
Yes.
they would come to you and would they offer you information?
Yes, ma'am.
Other than Quindarius Zachary, were you familiar with any other persons that, through your investigation in this case, that you came in contact with?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were you familiar with during your time as a school resource officer?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to object under 404A.
What's your response?
Let me look at my book and see what 404A is. They're looking at the book. They're looking Character at the book
evidence,
to see
you
what it is. It's propensity. Oh my gosh, this is other acts, prior bad acts. So you're asking who did you have an eye on back in school days? You're asking
I'm not
information
certain
on
what
what other
exactly
bad behavior did they have?
Maybe tailor your question.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't know what 404A is. Oh my gosh. They were
What
really
other
about to look at the book.
person?
Hold on. For anybody not watching the screen, I think it's worth saying out loud that this is one of those direct testimony moments where Love is walking around with the microphone in hand.
Did you know during your time as a school resource officer that you also interacted with or taught or gained knowledge about during this case?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Do you understand the objection? Can you tailor your?
No, she doesn't understand.
Did you
the
know
objection.
any other Trontavia Stevens? Did you know Trontavia Stevens?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What age did you learn about or did you meet Trontavia Stevens?
Age 11.
Was he a student as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he a student at Crawford Lawn Middle School?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know Shannon Stillwell as a young person?
No, I did not know Shannon Stillwell.
Did you know Diamante Kendricks?
I knew of him. I never had any interaction with him.
Did you know of him as a young child?
Yes, I think as he was getting to high school, yes.
What about Quentin Porter? Did you know of him?
Yes, ma'am.
And was he a young child or was he an older person when you got to know him or knew of him?
I believe I met him when he was in 7th or 8th grade.
Okay. Of the people that you've named so far that you met, did you interact with them in the same way that you did with Quindarius Zachary, or did they not talk with you as much?
They talk with me, but that was about it. They talk, but they never.
Okay. All right. What year was it that you were promoted to a homicide detective?
2004.
And during your
So that was good. That was the do you understand the objection? Oh my goodness. And where was that other one? I shouldn't have went into the clip that way because now I lost my place. Okay, let's look at maybe this one because Paige is yelling. I just happened to see this, but she looks like somebody's about to get yelled at. So we'll do this one. Oh gosh.
Your Honor, and I'm sorry, this has been a long trial, so I don't know the date. But when Investigator Viverito, when we had the Daubert hearing related to her coming in as an expert, we, the defense, have repeatedly requested the training materials and other materials that she generated for use. We need those in our cross-examination of her. At the time of the Daubert hearing, we were not provided with that. Mr. Harvey said, she testified that she develops a training course, and that in that course she trains other law enforcement on gang investigation. And so we wanted the materials from that course because we believe that we need those in our cross-examination of her. You know, and of course I come from a civil background where I'm used to getting all kinds of information with regard to experts testifying, and we haven't received an expert report from her. Which
this one doesn't exist.
That's true. One doesn't exist.
One does not have training created.
True, and I'm not disagreeing with the court, but certainly training materials that she uses does exist. We've asked for it. We've not been provided with it.
When's the last time y'all brought that up to the state that, hey, we still need those things?
I cannot tell you, but we've repeatedly asked for them over the course of the last year, Your Honor. And we were told by the previous court that at some point that may become, actually, what did the court say? It might be something that may need to be tendered at that point or brought up if does come in as an expert. We're at the point now where she's being presumably brought in to testify as some combination of fact witness and expert witness. So we still don't have those materials, Your Honor. I don't have an issue with her testifying as a fact witness.
I understand. I'm just saying, like, we've had Investigator Viverito has been on the state's list for weeks and weeks, and the time to have brought up, oh, hey, we don't have the training materials yet, would have been sometime before when she's probably already here. And if she doesn't have them in her bag, because nobody's reminded her, she's not probably going to be able to access them unless she can maybe do it electronically. I don't mind asking Mr. Adkins to either himself or have one of his investigators step out to wherever she is and see if she could access anything electronically and provide it. But if she can't, you know, it's kind of understandable right now since we didn't give her a heads up anytime recently, even though we knew she was going to be testifying, to search her files and find them.
I understand, Your Honor. So if maybe they could do an additional request and maybe it will come up, maybe it won't. If she is allowed to testify as an expert, though, I would ask the court to follow the previous court's order that there's a bifurcation of her factual testimony from her expert testimony in order to prevent confusion to the jury. There was also an instruction that the previous court had come up with. I will endeavor to find it. That was to be read to the jury prior to her testifying at, this is, by
Okay.
the way, not specific to her. It was all the witnesses
All
that
right.
were in the duel, the,
Okay, well,
difficult-
I'm not sure that it's 100% feasible to say, okay, for, this set of questions, it's one thing, and for the next set, it's another, but I will instruct the state to instruct her, or in the way you ask your questions, make it clear to the jury, all right, at this point, I'm asking you your expert opinion about whatever it is you may ask.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And I mean, to the extent that you can separate them, do, but I mean, there may be times when she's saying, here's some social media post. And then, for instance, might need to testify because I've got this background in gangs. I know that this particular emoji means something or another.
So is the
You just
previous
stuck
court's
on the
order no
emoji?
longer in effect about the statement
No,
that's to
I
be
am
read?
trying to say how it practically needs to be implemented. And if you want to provide me with whatever instruction you're talking about, I'll take a look and.
Okay. And then I'm going to, because of what the court just said, that I 1,000% agree with the court that it's very difficult to handle this dual witness. And it is why I objected to witnesses in this dual role. There's plenty of case law that goes against it, but I'm going to maintain an objection to a witness testifying in the dual role as an expert and a fact witness, Your Honor. Just like a continuing objection on that.
All right, well, I think it happens fairly frequently. And she was qualified as an expert, right? I mean, then y'all got a ruling after the Daubert hearing, right?
I believe that's correct. Correct, Your Honor.
That's what I thought. All right, anything else? I don't know if we have the jury ready yet or not. They should be, it's 9, but I'll have to check on that.
This is going to be a hot mess.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I believe Deputy Sprinkle is right outside. I'm just going to go double check.
Of course,
Okay,
he's right
thank you.
outside.
Okay, and I don't know if Investigator Viverito is here or not yet, but can somebody get word to her to try to find her training materials?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, jury's not ready. Okay. All right, did y'all find out any?
Okay, so there was the sprinkle part. I think was the funniest part of this whole clip. He's just up at the window waiting to be called back into the room. Oh my gosh, sprinkle! And I think we had 2 chair squeaks there, so we're getting some squeaks back in the mix here. One of my favorite parts of the YSL trial. And in the chat, Iris had said, "Do we have the clip of Woody asking the audience?" So let's see if this clip captures it. It looks like it's 25 seconds and it'll be exactly what we need.
Yes, no, I don't recall. Did Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing members of If Gang to his apartment?
So did you have issue
what-
with Rich Homie?
I'm asking you for what you told the police.
And I'm answering you. I just told you several times. I tell the police anything.
The slow pan. Look at Doug.
Do you recall talking about the shooting at?
Oh my goodness. The whole trial, the entire trial is hilarious. This was the other clip before we did those 2. We had the Stop the Shenanigans love, and this will be what we rounded out with for today. This is from day 131, September 17th, 2024.
An email that says that a fire alarm is going to go off.
Beautiful recross. Now, where's the next
Is there another
witness?
Witness available?
No.
Okay, well, this is ideally and far too early to be finishing the day.
Have a good one,
I
Trikisha.
will say we have an email that says that a fire alarm is going to go off at 5 p.m. That's a test. So I guess we'll at least avoid that. Sometimes they go on for a long time and they're really loud. So ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all at 9 a.m. Remember, only the evidence that comes through the witnesses on the stand in this case
is what you are supposed to be deciding this case based on. So don't talk to anybody about this case. Don't allow anybody else to talk to you about the case. Don't research in any way, internet or otherwise. Don't watch, listen to, absorb in any way, any kind of media accounts about this case or anybody involved in it. And I will see y'all in the morning. Thank you.
I would love if they excluded the next witness. Chloe Alberts. I love that the chair throwback from Withheld everything.
Carry us at least until 5. The absolute last time that you don't have enough witnesses to carry us at least until 5. And if it happens again and there is something less than an earthquake, an 8-car pileup, somebody died, 3 people died, and so none of the witnesses were available, I may just say you can't have that witness, because at this point in this incredibly long trial, to have to end at 4:25 is not a good use of anybody's time. Do you understand?
I do.
All right. I have, and have yes, some of y'all also got, and y'all who didn't, I forwarded a very lengthy email from Miss Merchant regarding Mr. Arnold, who is her client, and the information that she received very recently that he might be called as a witness this week. And it appears, and I know you know this, Ms. Love, because you got the email too, but that she told the state a long time ago that she was not going to be available certain dates. And she also asked, because I have reviewed in camera portions of her correspondence with you at this point, that you give her at least 7 days notice if you were going to call, or when you were going to call Mr. Arnold. So she's on vacation. She has a leave of absence. I don't know what your plan is, but have you worked that out?
Your Honor, what I asked, and I'm not sure if it was conveyed, was whether there was anyone else that she was willing to let come in and in her stead. But I can tell you that the reason that we moved up the time frame for her client has to do with our
challenges with other witnesses.
Yes, and so given that, I understand that Ms. Merchant wants 7 days in advance.
Well, that's not as much the issue as the fact that if she can't be here and he's still going to be on the stand, then you need to not start him.
Right, I understand that. If she had someone that he was okay with being here, then, you know, and that was
all right. So you and she have worked that out then?
No, I haven't had a chance to talk to her. I had someone talking to her on my behalf. I will respond to her and say that, because if she didn't.
I haven't responded, even though it got sent directly to me, because I don't normally do that. But if you would please let her know that, as far as I'm concerned, she is not expected to cut her leave off.
No, I
that
understand.
You need to work around that.
And we were, yes, I was, yes.
All right.
That's fine.
Sounds like a
Couple of other
strategy.
things. So I haven't been able to review in full the briefs that Ms. Abbasi and the state provided on the overt acts, but with regard to one of them, and I don't even know if you have either, because she, I think, sent it this morning, but there was indication in her letter brief that the issue at the jail may have been a self-defense issue. And so I would like to see the video.
Okay.
And find out whether there was any evidence at all of a shank being on Bussy, or whatever his name is.
I think that he took one. I think there was one after, but I will
Just
show you the
bring the
video.
evidence.
I think that that's easy enough to do. We can
All
we
right.
can send that to the court.
Okay.
Look at
And
our kids.
then finally, when I started looking through all of the in-camera looking in camera through all of the correspondence between the state and various attorneys for one-time co-defendants, you know, it's at this point about this thick, which is a lot. And I am wondering, and I know that I'm kind of the one that said, do you want me to do it in camera? But do you have an objection to just providing all of it to the defense? Because frankly, I'd rather they do the work than me.
And you may just,
I would prefer
And-
if the court would allow us to
Okay.
just review them, given.
all right, I'll trudge through it, but it's going to take me a while because as y'all know, I'm here with you every day. So, okay. All right, anything else? Hmm? Which one?
Oh, you're gonna be
The-
speedy on the
the-
video that you need.
Well, we did once, but.
Imagine that. The one time
Did
love
you
is
try
rushing
this
to hand
again?
something over. And big shout out to Spiritually
For some
Imperfect for
reason, I do
gifting
not
5
know why
memberships.
This keeps resetting itself to 40% volume today. So it's at 100% now. So let me. All right, so maybe that was the problem and just say. So it's not this, you think it might be. Well, you've just got really good hearing then.
Steph JK in the chat. Are you still here, Steph?
I think that 40, 100, Your Honor, is the.
That's Kokomo.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna pause here, and I haven't seen Spiritually Imperfect in a while, unless maybe they changed their name and I just don't recognize their new name. But do you guys remember the day with the chat exercise with the how love asks irrelevant questions? Because that was started by Spiritually Imperfect. They had said something like, and witness, when you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, what type of bread do you use? Oh, okay. And did you put jelly on your peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Oh, okay. And did you put peanut butter on? And the whole chat started like, it was like dozens and dozens and dozens of comments stemming off this one detail of somebody having a sandwich because Spiritually Imperfect had this whole exercise making fun of the way that love asks her questions. And that was a really, really good chat memory.
okay, then I just have no idea. Okay, so everybody that comes up to the bench, hold it close to your mouth. And also at the same time, talk into the little box for Miss Winfrey. We'll do the best we can. And if there is ever a time, I'll just remind the defendants that you cannot hear what is being said. Let me know and we can review for you what it was that was said. Okay, everybody understand that? Yes? Yes, okay, wonderful. All right, is there any other matter in the half hour extra that we have? That
Not
anybody
gonna let
wants
that go.
to bring up or deal with? Everybody just wants to go home.
I'll put this in writing just for ease, but on the, it's pronounced nice. The firearms, nice. NIBIN, on the NIBIN report.
This is a discovery for like
two different officers. I
guns.
just want to alert the state again, just as a courtesy to Mr. Williams and everyone. There are 2 firearms that are listed that were seized in the unlawful search of Mr. Williams' home. I'll put it in writing again, but I just, I'm not trying to delay things. So I just want to make the state aware, and I will put it in writing, but you have it on for 2 witnesses.
Make sure those witnesses don't mention anything about those firearms. Yes, make it clear because he's bringing it to your attention. I'm bringing it to your attention. These are professionals anyway. So once you tell them that, that should not happen. Okay. All right. Yes.
assuming QZ is not here tomorrow, and is the plan?
Yeah, they
that
couldn't
we
say
are just
Quindarius
going
Zachary.
down the list that was provided this morning? Is that,
I don't know what the plan is.
I'm just trying to
Who
figure
are
out what
your-
materials to bring tomorrow.
That was a deep sigh.
Your Honor, as I said, we have rearranged and are rearranging. And as a result of the change in circumstances. And as we have to rearrange that, we are not putting up who we intended to put up. And so
It
we are
happens.
rearranging in real time, and we have people doing that and working on that. And so that's where we are. And I don't know. We found out some
You're
information.
so mysterious all the time, Miss Love. Is it your plan, if Mr. Zachary is available, to call him? And if not, could you share with everybody else who you plan to call instead?
Yes, it's our plan to call
Okay.
him if he is available.
All right.
And yes, when I speak with our team to see who is
Now
now
it's your team.
next up and available tomorrow, I will share that with them.
When will that be?
Well,
It's 4:35 right now. 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, I think we'd be able to tell because they've been out.
Okay.
Is that a real 6 o'clock? Because we were supposed to get the list yesterday by 8 o'clock and it didn't come until 5 something this morning. So.
Shout out to Keith Adams. Trish.
I don't know.
I mean, we
Look
need
at
to
Trish and
know
Doug.
what to
Yeah.
bring tomorrow.
Your Honor, it's,
Well, I mean, it'll at least be somebody off of this list that y'all came up with at 5:57 this morning, right?
yes, and the
Okay.
other,
So y'all will know that much. She'll endeavor to do the best she can to get you the other information at 6 once you miss Love.
yes.
It's a big list, Your Honor.
I sure will.
Y'all, we covered some of them today. It's not that big of a list. Y'all are all professionals, and you've been prepping this trial for who knows how long now.
Okay, and that one ends there. And we have a request here from Amber Dawn. We're going to use Thugger Daly's clips.
Nothing about this is okay. These gentlemen have a right to a fair and impartial judge. And I appreciate the fact that you are going to be a fair and impartial judge. But the reality, Judge, is that they don't have a right to a fair and impartial judge starting on witness 76 of a trial after 9 months or whatever it is. They have the right to a fair and impartial judge from the beginning. And this is absolutely gross and disgusting. And the bottom line is there's a lot more discussions that need to be had about this. But the bottom line is, if you ask me, do we need to revisit the rulings of the judge who sits in chambers secretly and talks to the other side and says, yes, I've been observing this. I've been observing this about what's going on at trial. The judge that says, not only I'm going to meet with you on Friday and on Monday, but if we need to talk during the weekend, yeah, we can do that. The judge that suggests handing Mr. Copeland a list of questions. Do we need to revisit those rulings? Absolutely, we need to revisit those rulings. We need to revisit everything. This is broken, and it's not okay. It's not okay. It's offensive, and it's not your fault, Judge. You didn't do this. I'm not trying to raise my voice at you. I'm heated right now.
I can tell.
My steam's been coming off my bald head all night. Nothing about this is okay. Yes, we need.
You just went off. Oh my goodness. What a time. What a time this entire trial. Do you guys remember the day that they mentioned the second ex parte? I think it's because they said it was June 10th instead of June 7th. And all of us were like sitting here like, 2? And we found out that there were actually 2 ex partes. Just crazy, just crazy. So there's that, you guys. This has been fun. My face hurts from laughing. Oh, this whole case. Yeah, so same thing, Aaron. Aaron says I always enjoyed when they got heated. This moment from Sharp. This lawyer knows it. From Steele, it's too damn late from Harvey. And then the communist Russia from Steele. Just a good time all around. A good time all around. Yeah, Josh, let's see. I think if you follow comedy, I think most people know Josh Johnson. He has a huge, huge YouTube channel. Let me pull up YSL from him. But here is his, and he's very funny. Here is his YSL trial explained in 40 minutes, and he runs through all of it. There's that in the chat. And on StreamYard moved things around on me. And I gave them a second chance, and then they moved my cheese. We've got 2 songs we can end on. Or I could play both. Because we've got the Sprinkle song, we've got the ABCs of Steel. Oh, that's cool, Iris. You got to go to see Josh Johnson live. I love comedy shows. I love like the little like comedy, like the smaller comedy clubs where they do like dinner, like they have the restaurant built in and you can eat and laugh. And you can eat in the dark, right? Because it's pretty dark in the room, so no one gets to look at you eating. You can eat in peace while everyone's looking at the comedian on stage. It's a great time. It is a great, great time. And I think being a comedian has to be tough. That's got to be rough. Like, I get up here. The point of me being up here isn't to make you guys laugh. I hope you guys get to laugh sometimes, right? But when you have to go on stage and your job is to make people laugh with things that you came up with that you think are funny and think are good jokes, the idea of someone not laughing at that kind of sucks. Like, that's really scary. So I don't think that that's an easy job, but it's got to be fun and rewarding if you get to do that for a living and it's what you love. Let's see here. Okay, so I think I have the songs queued up. Anyone live since we've done this? Do we have a redirect destination? We can go on a trip together. Let's see. Yeah, as far as channels that I have permission to redirect to, it's all stuff that's scheduled and looks like stuff that's not even going to start today. Yeah, I think these are all. Yeah, I don't think any of these are starting anytime soon. So yeah, so I don't have a redirect, you guys, at least to anyone that I can actually redirect to. It all just says upcoming. So as a final reminder here, we do have the fundraiser for Jim. That is to help him get the documents to, and I think all of those cases are Georgia cases, and the majority of them are Fulton County cases. So, if you're remembering the YSL trial shenanigans and you feel like that can't be the only case that had shenanigans, a great way to do something to help the cause, do something to see if there's been other foolishness going on, help Jim in his efforts. Again, he's doing the work, but we could do some helpful work without doing the document work and the arguments and the filings. By just supporting his cause to raise money for all of the documents, because that's extremely expensive. MLS, well, if I say we were doing a YSL trial rewind at the end, you just missed a bunch of shenanigans. But at the beginning, we were talking about 2 wrongful convictions that were overturned by a joint request by the attorneys for both of those that were convicted and the prosecution. The prosecution agreed to the vacating of the convictions. So that was awesome. But we went through a bunch of clips pretty much of Adrian Love. Most of them were centered on Adrian Love getting things wrong or getting yelled at by the judge. So always a good time. I think as long as I can get some stuff done today, I've been trying to exercise daily and sticking to it. And Saturdays are my day for doing some errands that I don't get to do during the week. As long as I can get everything done today, we can get together tomorrow and do Lovapalooza Part 2. Not Mr. Love. Miss Love. Miss Love.
Your point is pointless.
Miss Love. Miss Love. So there we go, you guys. We're gonna just throw on some song. Oh, MLS, do you have anything going on? I think you have some Lego streams coming up, but they all just say upcoming, so I don't actually know when they are. Let me see what they said. Yeah, I see 34, but I don't know when that will be. And it doesn't tell me who it actually is with from this little picture. I'm too blind. But whenever that's planned to start, oh, I have to get a Lego set, you guys. Chat, you have to vote on a Lego set for me to get. And then we can do that. I don't know when you're, oh, actually, if I schedule it, it shows me. So if I pick it, then I can see when it's for. So this actually says July 19th. So we're going to redirect over to a scheduled. Guys, these are really cool streams. Familiar faces have done them. Andrea Burkhart did one a while ago. I think recently you had Nick Starro do one. You've had Law and Lumber. But lawyers, I don't want to say actual lawyers if you're inviting me, but oftentimes actual lawyers get together and they build Legos while they talk about all interesting topics in and around the law. So it's a really cool stream. They're usually later in the evening, so it's a chill type of environment. Always something that you'll learn in those types of conversations. So that redirect, it won't be something that's going to start today, but you guys can hit the subscribe if you're not already subscribed over there and join in for one of those Lego streams. Yeah, we all just sit there and wait for the 7 days. Well, come back tomorrow if we do this Lovapalooza. So that's where this will redirect, you guys. Thanks for hanging out, especially initially you guys all came in here because it was a wrongful conviction case. You guys didn't come in here knowing we're going to be watching Woody and Love clips again. So it's great to know that you guys came for the more important cause, right? Thank you for everyone for supporting Jim with the fundraiser as well. And we've got a sprinkle song followed by an encore of the famous ABCs of Steel. So take care, you guys. See you tomorrow.
Sprinkling in the cut, calling back up tonight. Fixing what they broke, truth back in the light. Baby shark grin, but the bite's still tight. No flex, no drip, just keeping it right. Empty words they fade, but truth will remain. Lifting up the veil to break the state's game. Case crashing hard, but he won't do wrong. Echoing the truth in sprinkle song. Replay all the jail calls, what do they say? Hold tight to the wire that's guiding the way. No need for a laptop, just honest and raw. Truth back in demand, Stack, give it your all. Spencer write rumors, but the facts cut through. Whispers turn to roars when the cat is in view. Stand tall, sprinkle, don't let the lies win. It's the state's game and you can't give in. People come and go, but the real ones stay. Lil Mike and Quez, no, don't even play. Lizard walk the line, don't waver or bend. In this world of snakes, be the slime they commend. Replay all the jail calls, what do they say? Can't undo the past, but can't change today. Better save yourself and let the state fall. Truth is in your hands, give it your all.
A as in Alicia, and B, Your Honor, as in Barry. C as in Colette. G as in Goldfetter. K as in Kitten. M as in Magic. P as in Perfect. C as in Colette. U as in Unbelievable. V as in Victory. W as in Wonderful.
O for objection, S for sustain, E for buffering, E for perturbing. S for slime, my friend, and U as in what you mean. I as in adultery call, M as in may I sleep. All the ABCs of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. G for gavel slams down P, T for telling anything. R for rights we stand, I for infinity. Life's a courtroom dance, keep your stances strong. With ABCs of steel, you can never go wrong. Oh, the ABCs of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. Oh, the ABCs of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. Oh, the ABCs of steel